Hey there, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another comic book haul. So, I didn't post a video last week, unfortunately. My main channel got real busy again with Magic the Gathering Commander 2015 spoilers and product deck lists, all that stuff. So, unfortunately, I fell behind at comics. I didn't get to read as much as I'd like to. And between that and real life stuff, it's been tough. So, now the good news is I have 2 weeks worth of books to look at. So, it's a pretty sizable haul. So let's get into it. We'll start with Valiant first. We got Book of Death, number 4 of 4 came out. So this concludes that miniseries. We have, I shouldn't say concludes the miniseries because now there's a bunch of spin-offs. So they have Book of Death. This is the fall of Exo Manowar. And one more Valiant book. We got Ninjak, number 9. So I say it every week in general. I mean, Valiant's been great. I really like these books. Great writing teams on them. So they keep knocking out of the park with Valiant. All right. So what else do we got here? Here's an indie book. This is Grant Morrison's 18 Days. Real interesting book if you haven't read it. This is issue 5, so it's plugging along here. Feels a little bit, it's like a mythology book based around, it almost feels like, I don't know, like Conan the Barbarian sort of feel to it, but also almost like a God of War-esque type feel. I don't know, it's interesting, so check it out. I can't really compare it to anything and feel like I'm doing a good job comparing it, which is good because it really makes you feel like there's something different there for once and not just a repeated trend. All right, speaking of things that repeat every week, Batman and Robin Eternal, number 4. So this is weekly. Real hard to keep up with these weeklies. It's my biggest complaint about them, you know, especially I know I've had a lot going on personally as far as my other channel and stuff, so maybe it's my fault, but it is hard to keep up with these, I think, for a lot of people. Other than that, I can't really say too much. I haven't had a chance to read very deep into this, so I'm picking it up for now until I get a chance to read it and decide if I want to stay on it. Snyder is one of the creators on it. I know he's not the only creator, probably the main creator, but Scott Snyder does good work, so I'm giving it a chance for sure. And here's number 5, which is actually kind of a cool cover. So there you have it. All right, now let's move on to, we got Justice League, The Dark Side Wars, number 1. This is just a one-shot, and there's, I think, 6 or 7 of these one-shots with different characters coming out of Justice League. And this one's about Batman, and it's written by Tomasi, so that's pretty cool. I'll say this, Justice League's been awesome. Jeff Johns knocks it out of the park all the time. I mean, if you're not reading it, you got to read it. It's probably my favorite book on the market right now, and that's saying something. That a DC book is beating out a lot of independent books and stuff that are all really awesome. But you know, when they do spin-offs like this, they're usually not that good. But putting Tomasi on it, I have a good feeling about it. So I don't know who's doing the other ones. I'm going to just check them out. But this one, I probably would feel comfortable recommending. All right, Detective Comics number 46. Again, Tomasi's writing this. I'm glad he's on this book. You know, I really think, I've said it before, I mean, Batman's in a weird place right now, so unless you're a real diehard Batman fan, it's okay. But the good news is there's some strong writers on it. Tomasi's very good, and Scott Snyder, who's doing the main book, is amazing. So they're putting some good folks on it, even though the current plot is a little awkward. All right, we got Star Wars number 11, and Jason Aaron has been fantastic on this book, and of course Star Wars is heating up. We're getting closer to the movie, more trailers coming out and everything. There's some buzz around it, but Jason Aaron's been doing an excellent job. I've said it in past videos, I never really saw myself like buying Star Wars books and reading them, but Marvel's put some top-notch creators on these books. And this one is no exception between Aaron and Monin. Make sure I say that right, or at least try to say it right. So awesome stuff. All right, we also got Velvet came out this week as well, was it this week? Or I think it was this week, yeah. Number 12, and this is by Brubaker, and Brubaker, just awesome intrigue, spy stuff. I mean, Velvet's fantastic. Strong female lead, just really good book. It's been plugging along for 12 issues now. Seems like I can't believe it's been that long. Next we had Greg Rucka. Greg Rucka, I say this a lot, one of the best writers in the industry. Definitely tells a really good developed story about female leads in most of his works, as of recent years anyway. And this is Lazarus number 20, and another great book by Rucka. Just can't say enough good stuff about it. I just love where he goes with it. I don't know. I haven't watched. I don't think this has come on the air yet. But if you watch The Walking Dead on AMC, they've been really pushing Enter the Badlands, which feels a little bit like this to me. When I just watching the preview, the concept of it, having these like barons that have these, I don't know, assassins that work for them or whatever, kind of feels like that, where the assassin's kind of part of the family but not part of the family, and and you know, they're obviously some sort of wealthy, like you know, class system, and this book has all that, except the assassin in the book is female, as opposed to, it looks like it's a male on the show, the main character. But it just struck me as similar. Now again, that's without watching the show yet, but just from the preview. So I don't know, it's just interesting. And I got another Greg Rucka book here. This one's another independent. He's just fantastic with independent stuff. This is Black Magic #1. This is another story with a female lead, and this time a police officer, and really good stuff. And again, another Rucka book coming up in the hall as well. Okay, I got Aliens Vampirella #3. I think I mentioned this in the past. I haven't read the first two yet because I am behind. I like Aliens. I've never read a Vampirella book in my life, so I don't know what to expect there. I was never really into that, kind of the cheesecakey stuff. I was just never really, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of, I don't know, got by on the art and maybe some of the cheesecakeness as opposed to maybe the story. So I never was really interested, and maybe that's not fair to say because I haven't read them, but because it was Aliens and Dark Horse and Dynamite were doing it together, I was like, you know what, let me check it out. So I have it. At some point I'll get a chance to read it. But yeah, there you have it. Amazing Spider-Man #3, and yeah, Dan Slott, keep plugging away here at Spider-Man. I do like, I think this is Alex Ross as well. I think Alex Ross has done all the covers since the book rebooted with #1. Pretty sure this is him. Yeah, it's got to be him. I don't see his signature, but I can't imagine it's not. Yeah, Alex Ross artwork is kind of cool. This kind of reminds me, I don't know if how many of you guys were reading Spider-Man back, shoot, when was it? Maybe like 10, 15 years ago, where they were doing a storyline about Gwen Stacy, and the storyline went along the lines of Gwen Stacy had a baby because she had an affair with Norman Osborn, and she like went off to like Europe to have this baby and hide it, and then she came back, and then after she came back is when Norman Osborn eventually killed her, and in the continuity of Spider-Man, and like really weird stuff. I can't remember. I feel like maybe that was J. Michael Straczynski who wrote that. I'm not 100% on that looking back, but it was really a strange story, and it's just weird whenever you kind of retcon stuff to that degree anyway. But the reason I bring that up is because Alex Ross really was not happy about that storyline, and he actually did a piece of art which I know was on the cover of a comic buyer's guide. I assume it probably appeared other places too, but it was actually a really cool piece of art with Spider-Man standing in front of Gwen Stacy and kind of like protecting her. He's got like his arms out, like keeping, you know, kind of the camera view, like whoever the camera view is, like away from her. And basically what he said was the story behind that piece was he was expressing, you know, that Marvel or these writers or whoever did this, you know, Spider-Man is protecting Gwen and her character and her image from these people who are just like really just destroying it. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I know he wasn't real excited with Marvel at that time, or with Spider-Man in general, so it's good to see him back. I mean, obviously that was a long time ago now, and my assumption is the hopefully with Secret Wars all that kind of got retconned anyway and maybe took that out of the continuity. But I know they were trying to create like a new supervillain who was kind of had some connection to Peter Parker, but you know, or not, they weren't even villains. They were actually twins. She had twins. They weren't even villains as much as they were just like kind of, I don't know, didn't know what they were, and that was kind of the mystery, I guess. So I don't know. That was kind of a long tangent, so I apologize, but just reminded me of that. Okay, let's go on to Fight Club. Fight Club 2. This is issue #6. If you like Fight Club, especially the novel Fight Club, you're going to really like this. It's pretty out there. It's pretty whack, but it's written by the original writer of the novel, Chuck Palahniuk. Hopefully I said that right, but The novel was great. If you haven't read it, do so. And this is great if you're into that. You know, if you're not into Fight Club and just the kind of out there craziness that it's about, you might not be into this, but it's well done. All right. Insufferable, Mark Waid, number 7. I mention this every month that this is the only book that I actually pick up the variant cover of, just because I'm really into this book. It's awesome. I kind of show you guys the variant as we talk about it here. And great story. I've talked a lot about it, so I won't go into too much detail. It seems like this is one book I get stuck on every month and kind of just talk a lot about, so I'll try to keep it short. But awesome storyline. Basically, Batman and Robin, if they're both kind of jerks, kind of a Watchmen-esque real world take on Batman and Robin, and they're trying to solve a mystery together about Batman, quote unquote, his wife was murdered, and both of them are trying to figure out how it happened. It happened many years ago. Now they're going back trying to figure out what happened. They blame each other, for everything along the way and messing up the investigation. They don't trust each other, and just very interesting stuff. All right. What If Infinity Dark Reign? I haven't been picking up a lot of these what ifs. They're doing a whole series of these with Infinity. I just picked up the Dark Reign one just because I like Norman Osborn, and Williamson's a good writer, and I like Infinity Gauntlet. So I was like, Green Goblin on the cover with Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, I'll check that out. So I haven't read it yet. Like I said, I'm behind, but I probably won't pick up the others, but that one just kind of looked cool. Another Greg Rucka book. Probably should have talked about the others, but this is Stumptown, and we are up to number 8, and this is part 3 of The Case of a Cup of Joe. Again, Greg Rucka, another strong female lead, this time private investigator. Great book. I can't say enough good stuff about this. This is by Oni Press. Amazing story line with this character, and just kind of the craziness that is her life, plus some of these cases she goes on, which some are pretty like noir serious. This one is still noir-ish, but this one's a little bit lighter than some of the other storylines in Stumptown. And basically you got coffee, people that grow very rare, expensive coffee beans, and she's been tasked to make sure they get transported to their owner, and a lot of people along the way, they're trying to steal them or buy her to give them some, and they're all kind of wannabe gangsters. They're not really like scary people, but that can also be very dangerous, of course. But yeah, it's just very interesting. All right. Brian K. Vaughan is next up on the list. We stand on guard. This is issue number 5, actually the second to last issue. Next issue will be the last one. This is a 6-part miniseries. I've talked a lot about it in the past. This is good enough to be a pick of the week. If I wasn't doing 2 weeks at once, this would have been a pick of the week, probably along with Stumptown as well. And amazing book. So real quick synopsis. It's the future, and because of shortage of resources, the United States occupies Canada, and this is about the freedom fighters that are Canadian trying to fight back and trying to deal with the U.S. occupation. It's very sci-fi because it is the future, so the war stuff is very future war-esque, but character development's really good. Characters are strong. Brian K. Vaughan, just amazing. All right, last book before I get to my 3 picks of the 2 weeks. This is X-Men number 1. That's by Jeff Lemire. I'm excited about this. You're going to see in just a moment. X-Men is another one of my picks. It's actually a pick of the week. But this is X-Men number 1. This is the reboot. You got the new team on here. You got Iceman, Storm, Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, Old Man Logan, and Colossus's sister and Colossus. I can't remember, what's her name? Is it Ileana Rasputin? It's escaping me right now. But Magic, that's her name, right? Magic is her mutant name. So anyway, new lineup. Jeff Lemire, I'm very excited about it. Haven't had a chance to read it yet, but pretty cool stuff. The only thing is I saw the solicitation for issue 2, and it was written by Rick Remender. Now, I don't know if that's a mistake, because, Diamond makes a lot of mistakes. So it might be a mistake. But Bendis had said he's giving the reins over to Lemire and everything. So I don't know, maybe it's just a one-shot thing that he's off for a month for some reason. Then he's back, or maybe it's just a mistake in Diamond, or maybe he's not doing it after all. So I don't know. If anyone knows what's going on with this, definitely let me know in the comments below. Rick Remender, I used to really like him, but I really haven't been into his recent stuff. I really enjoyed when he used to do Iron Man. I really enjoyed he used to do Punisher, was real good. Did some cool stuff during Dark Reign, and then he moved into X-Force, which I liked for a while, but then as it went on, it just kind of, I don't know, lost something for me, and then I tried Uncanny Avengers, just couldn't get into it. So if Remender does take over, I don't know if I'm going to stay on, quite honestly, but hopefully Jeff Lemire's doing this book. So there you have it. All right, picks of the week. Number 3 pick of the week, I got Iron Man number 3 here, and it's by Brian Michael Bendis. Actually, oh no, take this back. I got another Bendis book coming up. It's not a lot of Bendis books over the last couple of weeks, which is a little unusual, but this is fantastic. If you haven't read this yet, I read the first 2 issues. I haven't read this one yet, but I will tell you, Madame Mask is in this, and this is all kind of post-Secret Wars reboot, so you kind of get new versions of them, but you just feel like Bendis just fixing all the things that were wrong with Iron Man and all the kind of weirdness that kind of was going on with him over the last few years. They got rid of the whole extremis armor that comes out of his skin, which was just creepy. And now he's got more of something like you see more in the comic or in the movie, where he can mentally kind of draw his armor to him. He's kind of doing that instead. That makes a lot more sense, and that's kind of what you see visually here on the front. But anyway, Madame Mask's one of the villains, and Doctor Doom, you got the new look Doctor Doom in this. And spoilers if you haven't read this, but Doctor Doom now, he's no longer scarred. He's no longer wearing the green cape and Iron Mask. It looks more like Lex Luthor. He's just kind of a businessman sort of thing, and he's kind of just staying under the radar and doing whatever it is he's doing, but almost kind of like trying to befriend or help Iron Man here, which he's doing it for his own reasons, but it has very much a Lex Luthor feel to him, as opposed to just kind of the awkward, which kind of dated feel of the green cape and cowl. So great if you're not reading it, pick this up. All right, next is another Brian K. Vaughan book. This is Paper Girls number 2. I believe this is a miniseries. I don't know how many parts. This is phenomenal. I'll get, a few spoilers here talk about, but I'll try to keep it relatively vague. But basically, a story of some paper girls that deliver papers in 1988. And they come across some weird stuff the night of Halloween or the morning after Halloween. And it seems like there's some sort of time-traveling monsters and they encounter them, and then eventually it kind of leads into almost like a post-apocalyptic situation where there's almost like these pterodactyl creatures attacking their neighborhood, and like just really interesting stuff by Brian K. Vaughan, and great character interactions with the girls in the book, amongst each other and amongst the other people they encounter, but just also this mystery of what's going on is very intriguing. And I don't want to give away like the big reveal from like the end of issue 1. If you haven't read it, it's pretty awesome. There's also some fun little 80s. There's a lot of 80s like references and just 80s stuff in the story all through the whole story, which is pretty cool. And even after the story and before it, there's all like 80s like kind of throwback stuff in there. So check it out. It's kind of awesome. All right, so number 1 pick of the last 2 weeks, and it is Brian Michael Bendis. It's X-Men number 600. So we got 2 Marvel books in our top 3. That's weird, but well deserved. This is Bendis's last issue of X-Men. He just did a huge run, and this has been delayed quite a bit. This probably was really supposed to come out prior to Secret Wars ending, but for whatever reason, it was delayed. There's a lot of artists that work on this, probably what happened. But this concludes and wraps up his entire run over the last, how many years has he been doing this? 3 or 4 years. He's been doing 2 books, and he's been putting them out twice a month or even more. So there's quite a few issues of X-Men that he's done between Uncanny and the other X-Men title that he was working on. So great conclusion to the story. I will say that I was very interested by the, plot hole that kind of gets tied up here with Iceman, and some spoilers if you haven't been reading this, so I'll warn you there. But you may have seen, there's been talk about this in different entertainment news and stuff anyway, but basically Iceman in this issue kind of comes out. It doesn't really come out to the team, at least not yet, but at least comes out to a couple members of the team that he is gay, and that was pretty cool that they did this with a long-term character, very long-term character, and very well-known character with Iceman. And Iceman traditionally has been kind of known as sort of the young, brash, almost like Flash, ladies' man sort of thing. So I thought it was very interesting. If you go back a few issues, basically the way this unfolds is there's a young version of Iceman who came from the past, who basically came from like when the X-Men first formed, and he's stuck in our present, along with Jean Grey, who's from that time period as well. And she reads his mind and finds out that he's gay because he's making a lot of like rude comments towards women and stuff, and she kind of says the only reason you do that is because you're trying to cover up that you're gay. And then he kind of has to figure all that out, and he does finally come out and say he is. But if he is, why isn't his older version gay? And then he confronts his older version in this issue, and that was kind of the loose end that kind of needed to be tied up, because it was kind of like, well, is the young one different from the older one, or how does that work? But I thought it was handled very well. Bendis basically had them have a discussion, and older Iceman basically does come out and say, yes, I am, and this has been a front. I couldn't handle being a mutant and being homosexual, which I thought was a really strong moment in the book, and really well written and really well done. And it kind of brings this character now into 2015 into 2016, having some more backstory and some different backstory that's interesting and intriguing. So well done, very well done. Like I said when I first started talking about this issue, I'm glad to see that they've done this with a prominent character that's been well known for many years. I think that's pretty cool to add some diversity to the team. I think that's really awesome. There have been other comic book characters, obviously, that are gay in the Marvel Universe. But if you think back to, I think it was 1990, North Star came out in Alpha Flight, and that was a huge deal at that time, because that was never really done before in like a mainstream comic with a superhero comic like that. Now, since then, there's more and more of that with characters, and that's really good that writers are in tune to that diversity and really reflecting what people are like in real life in the superhero books. So I think that's pretty awesome, and hey, kudos to Bendis for making that happen. He's tackled some cool issues. Some really tough issues. there's in his run, not just about being a mutant, but he did a really good job of taking that concept of, mutants are persecuted, and, you can kind of draw the dotted line between mutants and any minority that's been persecuted. But he's talked about in just his run, obviously a character that was scared to come out as a homosexual. He also talked a lot about Kitty Pryde and her feelings about being Jewish, and some of what she dealt with. And he actually has a note in the back of this book that was one of the most personal things that he's ever written in comics, which was really something special. And definitely check that out if you get a chance to read his thoughts on that. That's in the back of this book too. So that's why this is the pick of the week. It's pretty heavy stuff. There's a lot to say about it. So so not to get too heavy on you guys, it's a pretty awesome issue. Check it out if you haven't checked out the run, and look for the trades. I assume they're pretty much all out there in trades, like everything. But that's the haul for this week. As always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.